My name's Matt Cameron. I help people connect with digital marketing. And I'm here with Risto tonight for the Tracardi office hours. We do this every second week. It's a fortnightly type of thing. We talk about Tracardi and deep dive into some topics and do a bit of Q&A. But first, before we do anything else, Risto, would you like to introduce yourself to people that may not know who you are?
Yes, my name is Risto Kovaczewski. I'm a founder of Tracardi, which is an open source customer data platform. And well, we try to build the best CDP there is.
Yeah. I reckon it's better than sliced bread, but I've probably heard me say that before. But no, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's got a good community behind it, and it's a lot of good features in there. Hey, I guess on our agenda today, I'm thinking there seems to be this conversation we're having about installing Tracardi. And
Right.
also we've been working on the blog over the last couple of weeks, and it feels like there could be getting ready for a release of that too. It's sort of been softly developing that and getting it going, but it sort of feels like it's getting a bit of got a bit of content there, and there's people signing up and a few comments. So it feels like we should be starting to talk a little bit more about that. But I guess let's kick off the install conversation. So I've actually been following, I haven't been inside it on the Slack group, but I've been following an install that's been going on recently. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and maybe some of the challenges that people have had there?
Yes. Well, actually, we'll deliver an easy way to install Tracardi, but this installation, and it's based on Docker Compose. But this installation is mainly for testing Tracardi. So when people try to make a production-ready installation, they usually try to use this Docker Compose, which is not the best option. So today, and we had this conversation how to install production-ready Tracardi, an open source version. So today, I think we could talk about what are different, how we can install Tracardi to be production ready, and what are different types of installations. What are the prerequisites? How to scale Tracardi? Because I think a lot of people will benefit from this and will not have to go through the whole documentation. And also, I will give some reference to the documentation, to the blog post that we are starting. That will be probably our first topic on the blog: how to install production-ready Tracardi in different environments.
I know when I first started with Tracardi, it was a matter of looking at the Docker, and I think I did do the one-click, not so much a one-click, but a CLI install, just to prove that it could work, and that was a local host install.
Yes.
But then once I was attempting to get it into a production environment, I spent a lot of time looking at the Docker files. You know, how does it work, and studying those to make sense of what version. Because it's not always easy to work that out, and what are the environment variables that you require. So I felt I fell into that well of trying to work that out, and I got a lot of support on Slack too as I was working through that as well. So it's not always easy, and I guess that's what we're trying to solve, or make it a little bit easier just to surface that information. Now, just before I go on, we've both got black t-shirts on. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I like it. You know, it's
rapport. Rapport.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So where does that's thrown me. Where does it leave us next now? So you were sharing something on the blog, I think.
Yes. Well, first I would like to just mention that Tracardi is Docker based. So of course you can install Tracardi from source, etc. But well, that will take a lot of time for you to just configure it. So you will have to use Docker. So for that, you have two options. You can use Docker or Kubernetes. Kubernetes is a more production-ready environment, and Docker is also production-ready, but you will have to somehow configure Tracardi yourself. And the main challenge, actually, with Tracardi installation is not Tracardi itself. it's the dependencies, because Tracardi depends on MySQL, Redis, and Elasticsearch. There are three dependencies for open source version, and one additional dependency is Apache Pulsar. This is for commercial version. The main challenge will be installing the dependencies. So when you start and try Tracardi, you can use Docker Compose. And Docker Compose, what it will do for you? It will, on your local computer, will install all the dependencies, and you will have installed MySQL that will have very little storage. Some Docker Compose files even don't store the data on the disk, just keep it in memory. So when you stop it, the data will be lost. And I've read the post where people are just, okay, my data is gone, because this is not a production ready environment. So you have to keep that in mind. And also it may use all your laptop's memory, because some of the dependencies need a lot of RAM. Other option is that you will install Tracardi using Dockers one by one. And this is available in the documentation. You can see how you can start this, but you have to keep in mind that you'll have to think what kind of installation you're doing. So for example, for Elasticsearch, using a Docker image, if you would like to create a cluster with several nodes, then you have to, well, have 3 or 4 Dockers to be started and then connected somehow. You can also look through the web and find the Docker Compose for just for Elasticsearch, and it will just set up the 3 or 4 nodes. By default, I would say you will need at least 3 nodes, because the default setting for Tracardi is that it will store data using 3 shards. Sharding is a process of dividing data into smaller parts and then putting this data on a different nodes on a different servers. So when one of the servers goes down, you will not lose all the data, but also to prevent losing any data, there are replicas. It means that this data will have a copy that will be stored on another server. So basically, when you start using Elasticsearch with Tracardi, you will have like 6 copies of 6 parts of your data. Your data will be divided into 3 parts, and then copied. Those 3 parts will be copied once. You can imagine that this is hard to be kept on one server. So this is the minimal setup for Elasticsearch. If you want to do it yourself and do it with Docker, you'll have to go through the documentation and do it yourself. If you would like to use what we'll be describing on blog, actually would like to use Kubernetes, we will be providing a Helm chart that has inside all the settings that should be applied to the installation, and it will just take care of the installation of all the dependencies. So we'll just create all the nodes, we'll create all the storage volumes, we'll connect it. So within 1 or 2 command lines, you will have everything installed. Another thing is that when you are installing Elasticsearch for Tracardi, you have to make up some decisions up front. So if you would like to have like a bigger installation and have like 5 shards or more, you have to configure it up front, because later you will not be able to change this.
Just each of those shards or each of those instances of Elasticsearch, my experience is each one will take about 4 gig of RAM. Is that about right? Or
yes, well, actually, it all depends on the data and how quickly you would like to consume the data, ingest it. Okay, so that all depends. There are instances that have more RAM, but minimum is 4 gigabytes of RAM for Elasticsearch, and also for Redis and MySQL, it also would be like a 4 gigabytes of RAM.
Redis is quite nice, I think, in its memory consumption. It's quite lean, whereas
Yes.
MySQL can sort of get up there. It depends on how much it's used, but it can creep right up. Yes.
Yes, and as we are talking about the memory consumption, Tracardi itself does not consume a lot of memory, but the APM, automatic profile merging, can consume more data, because recently we've discovered that when there is a lot of data, that data have to be loaded into memory, so we have like a full view of the profile. So if there is like one profile with 10,000 copies of that profile. This should not happen very it should happen very rarely, actually. I don't see a production use that has that many profiles. But when we are testing that, so I was putting profiles, artificial profiles, I've noticed that the memory consumption go to 2 GB of memory. We'll be probably doing some rewrite to just lower this, but this process can go up and then go down after some time when the merge is finished.
Yeah, it's probably also worth noting that with Elasticsearch, you can set Elasticsearch up in a single node configuration. So if you've got a very small requirement, I guess as Risto mentioned before, if you're taking that path and it means you've only got one instance of Elasticsearch running, then best practice would be to have some sort of process where your data is backed up into a different location. Preference is always to get it off the server that it's on onto a different platform. So if on DigitalOcean, or I get my backups on S3 over at AWS. So I always have it in one location and then get the backup somewhere else. It's just
this is quite interesting because Elasticsearch as database provides you this mechanism of backup. So when you configure it correctly and just add the S3, you can easily backup data and then restore it from S3, but you have to configure it before, okay, you start it. And also, it's good to mention if there's like bigger installations, Elasticsearch provides this mechanism of dividing data into stages. This is the stage of hot data, warm data, and cold data. So the old data can be moved to the cold stage when they are stored on S3 on any other storage that is less expensive, for example.
And I was just going to say another strategy there would be to just use a commercial service for your not your S3 management, but for your Elasticsearch management.
Yes.
Essentially, all that Tracardi will need are the credentials. So you could sort of, what do you call it, leverage another platform to provide that service so that you take it out of your hands. And whilst there might be a cost to that, it sort of simplifies the task of getting Tracardi running.
Right. And this is a very good approach as well. And also, when we are talking about moving the data between stages, when you install Tracardi, you may need to make a decision how you would like to partition the data. What partitioning means? It actually means how the data will be stored in indices. Indices are like tables in the database. So by default, Tracardi keeps the event data in a monthly partitions. Means if the event was collected on some month, it will be stored in one table. Okay. When the month passes, there will be another table, and that data will be stored there. And then when you have like separate tables, it's very easy to move the data between stages. You can say, okay, all the data that is longer than 12 months, just move it to another storage, and Elasticsearch will do it for you.
This is starting to sound like a deep dive into another topic that we could spend hours
Yes.
on.
Yes. So I will not go into this direction. Just that there is like a lot of configuration that you can do with Elasticsearch, and this is like the database that is used for Tracardi to store all the big data. Then there is MySQL, and MySQL installation is quite straightforward, but if you are building a production-ready environment, you have to also think about the replication of your MySQL, so the data is stored in two places. In Kubernetes installation, we use Percona, which is like another version of MySQL, and it allows you to to configure it how the replication is done. So, and it can be easily done. And we will be describing this all in the blog post on our blog. So I encourage everyone who's interested how to set up commercial Tracardi just to sign in and subscribe to the blog. Another thing is the Redis. Tracardi use Redis for keeping the the most recent data in memory. So it's very quick when reading this. So I will very quickly describe how it's done. So all the profiles that come into your page will be stored in Redis for 1 hour. That data, of course, is also saved to Tracardi, to the database, and to make sure that it's all very quick, we bulk the data, so the data is not saved one by one, but also is bulk. So to set up Redis, this is probably the easiest part. You just have to define also if you would like to have a cluster, you can have a cluster of Redis instances where you have master and worker nodes. In the Kubernetes installation, you just say, okay, one master and three worker nodes. When you do it yourself, with one by one installation of Docker, you'll have to go through the Redis installation and find it how to configure it. Okay. So the main point actually in this conversation is mentioning that actually you have to be aware that the Docker Compose installation is not for production.
I would say that you'd want to at least plan, if you're using a single node with Elasticsearch, for at least 8 gig of memory for a Tracardi setup. I think that'd be,
Yes.
you possibly won't need that much, but there'd be a safe allowance.
Mhm. I would like to also mention that Tracardi as company offers a demo. Okay, this is, you have to pay for the cloud, but we install the demo, and for that demo we use 3 nodes with 8 GB of memory and 4 CPUs, and this usually is enough for having a decent installation for showing how Tracardi works.
I know that you're with one host, and there's lots of hosts out there. I think I mentioned DigitalOcean before, and they're possibly a little bit pricier than the host that you're using, but you're sort of not bound to the host that you use. You could set this up on AWS, I guess.
Yeah, you can actually you can set up Kubernetes on any cloud providers right now. On
Yep.
DigitalOcean, you just click it, how many nodes you need and what kind of nodes that should be. You can add nodes, delete nodes. This is very very easy. Then they provide you with this config file, and I also in the blog mentioned how to connect your local client that manages that Kubernetes cluster through that using that config file. And this is very very easy. So I'll go through the post, be very quick because there's not much to share actually, because it's so simple. When you finish the post, you actually be able to manage Kubernetes with a graphical user interface that lets you see everything that you have. For example, how much memory your cluster has, how much CPU, etc. And in the deployments, you will see all your Docker running, and actually Docker configurations. And in the pods actually are Dockers, okay, running Dockers. So I'm explaining why Kubernetes, etc. But the first thing, you have to have like 3 nodes, and then you just paste this command. Okay, it will install your master node. Then you have to find this file. Inside that file, you will have a token that tells how to connect to the master. Then on every other node, you have to paste this command line, and you will have to give the server IP. This is the IP of that master first node. Okay, and then paste the node token, which is from this file. Okay, there will be some token, and then you do it on all the remaining nodes, and you have a cluster of Kubernetes nodes. You can on the master node do kubectl like get nodes, and you will see after a while how the nodes were created. It takes about, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. And also then you have to connect your local laptop to that cluster, so you can manage the cluster from your local local laptop. So what you do on the master node, you'll have to go to this file, just copy it, okay, modify it so the your external IP is the IP of the master node, the first node you've created, and do this. So create an environment variable with that file, and now on you can use the same command get kubectl nodes to see the nodes, but from managing it from your laptop. And there are some example comments, etc. And also here is how to use the lens or open lens, this graphical user interface that gives you the ability to click uh, on some parts of the Kubernetes, and you don't have to type all the command lines. And basically, this is it. So installing Kubernetes is quite simple. I usually do it for 3 nodes within 15 minutes. So if you go and try to use Kubernetes, then it should be much easier. And I will share another post how to install Elasticsearch, Redis, etc. Tracardi also using Helm charts. And this is all documented. It's much easier than doing it via Docker. But also, um, when you do it via Docker, sometimes people ask, okay, I've installed Tracardi, but I would like to configure it a bit different. Where do I find the information how to do it? So there is an information about all the environment variables that configure Tracardi inside Tracardi. So again, I will share my screen. So, okay. So when you go into maintenance, system settings, here are all the environment variables that you can set. Okay, with the short description, what it does. I'll change what it does. And when you pass this environment variable into the Docker, you will reconfigure Tracardi. Also, in manual, you should be able to find all the configuration variables, and you will find the things that we've been talking about. So, for example, event partitioning, you can see I'm partitioning by month. Profile partitioning, I'm partitioning by quarter. So you can also change this.
I was just going to say that it's so helpful. I've been going into the GitHub repos and finding the environment variables there. So I hadn't sort of realized. So how do we get to this? We're going to
Maintenance and system settings.
Yep, cool.
So you have current system settings, so you can also verify what's being set, what's not. Yeah, and you can see also the shards, 3 shards, replicas. This is all in here. There are also some things that are turned off by default because most of the people do not use this, and this is sometimes enable profile destinations and event destinations. So you can be surprised that something is not working for you, but this is because by default some of the things may be disabled. But I'm pretty sure that in the new manual that is at manual.tracardi.com, you will find also all the information about Tracardi configuration and the environment variables. Here we go. This is the description of the variables and configuration best practices, etc., etc. This is also quite important when you build production ready Tracardi, because Tracardi is API first. It means that you will expose the API to the internet, so you will be able to collect data. But you would not like to expose all the features that are in Tracardi to the internet. You would like to expose only the API that is responsible for collecting data. Basically, how Tracardi is installed, it has this public and private API. Public API will have only the APIs that are responsible for collecting data. So I can also share this. This is the API. So when I go to the API, this is the API of my installation, and go to docs, this is the documentation of the API. You can see that there's a lot of APIs for different things. You can manage flows, rules, resources, profiles, etc. But you would not like this API to be available on the internet. I know it's under the it's protected by the passwords, etc. But the best practice would be not to share this. So we will have another instance of Tracardi that has set this environment variable expose graphical user interface API to no, and then it will only share the endpoints that are responsible for tracking. So I probably should have under this, yes, under this port, the production API, and you can see there is only the APIs for collecting data. So for security reasons, you should not expose the full API to the internet. And sometimes I see that people do that. They probably are not aware of this, so and do not read the documentation.
One thing I love about these sessions is that I keep learning stuff. And the other thing is that the documentation's only a couple of weeks old, whilst there was a set of documentation. A massive update was done just recently. Is that right?
Yes, yes, yes. The new documentation is much more verbose and have a lot of more information. Uh, that was on the old documentation, but it was somehow not. It was hidden in the Q&As.
Yep.
Now the Q&As, with the Q&As, I was able to create more structured documentation, so you can see the configuration, and there's everything in here. Also scaling, data partitioning that we've been talking about, installation scaling in the commercial version and open source version. We can also see the shards, replicas, data backup, etc. So there's much more information right now in the documentation.
Awesome. I might like to share where I've been up to, because I think we've sort of been having this conversation in tandem, and it's interesting how everyone has different strategies behind getting Tracardi started. So my journey was to use EasyPanel, which is really a one-click Docker management interface. Now, I'm not ready to share this in detail. I've started putting the post together, and let's see if I can just scroll up this screen just to show you where I'm at. Where are my tabs? I can't see them at the moment, but there's a post here. I am working through it. Let's see if I can just get my tabs going correctly. Yeah, I've got that here. Okay, so we're talking about what EasyPanel is. It's about one-click installs. It's about a deployment. It's about making it, really for me, drop dead simple and easy with a graphical user interface. What I'd like to do with this is actually show and tell. Setting up Tracardi, but I'd like to do it on a disposable server with the disposable IP. So we set it up and then we destroy it afterwards, because there's a little bit of IP there that I really can't share on production servers, which is visible if you're looking at them. So I guess this will be about next time we do office hours, I'll do a deep dive into this. But talk about, and this is a sneak peek of the post, but just talking about what EasyPanel is, if you haven't come across it before. And also how to load a schema up, which will allow you to have a one-click install of Tracardi. And there it is. So bit of a sneak peek. It should be ready for next office hours in 2 weeks' time.
That's perfect, because probably your kind of installation will be much more easier when using outside service. And yeah, most of the companies that would like to use open source Tracardi would go for this kind of installation, and the big companies or bigger companies that have DevOps will go to installation on Kubernetes.
Yeah, I sort of feel you've got to get started somewhere, and for me, so much of what I start is something I can understand, and this just takes sort of that brain tease out of it. But I also understand the next steps that you need to take, and I get what you're saying exactly there. But here's that note and that warning. you just need that memory. And really, it's all about Elasticsearch because it will chew up 4 gig of RAM for each instance that you set up. But stay tuned for that. We'll have more coming in there soon. And I guess also what you're seeing here, and whilst we're here, this is the Tracardi blog. Look, I can see Rizzo's already putting together another installment, so we can see that coming together. But we've got all the office hours, with the exception of a couple there. We're starting to get some comments. I think one here's got 2 comments. Let's have a look. So it's a bit of fun, and really it's the office hours, and we're just calling out some of the key takeaways. And what we'll do, really, the recipes that we talk about, like we have today a little bit, and so we'll pull them out and just make little features around those as well, just so that they're easy to understand. But I think here we're talking about what are we talking about? Vector databases, interest vectors. So there was a bit of interest around that. So some discussion starting around that as well. I'll stop sharing. Just sneak peeking the blog in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about the blog. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also encouraging everybody that has some experience in using Tracardi, not a technical experience, because, well, if you have technical experience, you can also share it. But what I would be interested in how you use Tracardi. Okay, what was the issue or challenge that you were trying to solve, and how you did it? And I know that there are people that use very in an intensive way, like Tracardi, and doing amazing things. Okay, they just collect data and then they, group it, make segments, use graph databases to connect profiles, etc. And that would be very, very interesting. And I think if you even, you are not ready to share it because of, I don't know, English or something, use ChatGPT, just write it in your own language, translate it, and just share with us. We will be very happy to put it on the blog.
But it's actually so much easier. Just come and join us for office hours.
Yes.
We'll record it, and then we can stitch it together and smooth it out if need be. So it's just too easy. So come and join us. This is recorded now. If you come and join us on office hours and share what you're doing, regardless of language, we'll work it out so it all makes sense.
Yep.
I've got one that I'm working on at the moment for not for profit, and I hope to share that soon too. And it's not a big deal. They're moving from MailChimp to another platform. They've only got about 5,000 subscribers, but they've got a lot of segmentation to do, and working out how to get that right and how to work with their audience and get those rules in place. And I can really see a good fit for Tracardi there. So in time, share that recipe. I'm sure there'll be others that we come up with like that. But Johan, you've joined us today. Thank you. I know we've been talking about installs and everything. I hope that's kept your interest. Feel free to open your mic and turn your screen on. Hello.
Yes. Hi. First time coming here.
How did you find out about us? Where are you from?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn?
Yes, your LinkedIn post, Matt. Yeah.
Whereabouts are you based?
Melbourne, Australia.
Oh, wow. Melbourne. Oh, Melbourne rules.
Yes.
Yeah. Whereabouts are you, Risto? You're over in somewhere.
Yeah, Melbourne. Yep. Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean. Well. First thing first, right? So I came here by the quote unquote the LinkedIn post, and then I was sort of interested. I mean, just to give you a bit of a background on myself. I sort of just switched a little bit in my career trajectory from MarTech into ads. So I'm working with Google Ads at the moment. Previously, I was deep into Salesforce ecosystem, Marketing Cloud, Sales Cloud, Commerce Cloud. Now Data Cloud is everywhere, right? And just before this transition, I sort of get exposed a bit with the likes of Lexer, Sitecore CDP, things like that. And then sort of and then one of my mentor, which I appreciate very much. I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with the name Damon McMillan.
Yeah, I know Damon. I've worked with him years back. How do you know Damon?
Oh, I worked under him at
Right,
Deloitte. So
at Deloitte. Yeah. So
yes.
it's just for a bit of context. He's a bit of a marketing cloud guy from way back. He started up his own business a few years back called Blended, which was bought by Deloitte. When I say recently, it's probably 5 years ago now. Yeah, Damon's a good guy. He's based up in Sydney now, isn't he?
Still Melbourne.
Still Melbourne. I haven't seen him for a little bit, but I thought he must have moved up because I hadn't seen him about it anything.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry
So
about that. Yep.
no, all good, all good. So that was it, and then just before I left for a bit, he sort of shared with me about this idea of composable CDP. So he said, Johan, you know everything, like all the basics about the CDPs. It's all about this. It's all about how good the identity resolutions, customer segmentation, activation, and all that. But there's this composable CDP, and then what the hell is that? And then that's the idea of this. And then that LinkedIn post that I saw, I think it was just yesterday, and then I read a little bit, and then it says open source. It's unthinkable. It's unthinkable, and I'm sorry. It's just that's why I'm here. I'm trying to find out.
It caught me a bit off guard too. About 12 months ago, it's I call Tracardi the best thing since sliced bread.
Oh
It
my
really is
god!
pretty good. I'm gonna blabble on, but
Yeah.
it's under a rock at the moment. Tracardi, it's just going to explode.
Yep.
You know, it's got so much potential. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'm just
Well, actually, recently I've read a post about some people on that are on Salesforce, using Salesforce. They were very enthusiastic about the idea that you could trigger real time some process when somebody opens an email. And then I read, well, in the open source world, this is possible from almost 3 years. From the day one, actually, Tracardi could do that. And not only open email or whatever, data change in the database, you can do a lot of things real time. And this
Wow.
is like everything just changes. The whole environment changes so quickly that the big players are not able to catch up. Okay.
Mm.
you don't need Tracardi for that. You can have callbacks on databases.
But
there's a whole different service for that too, isn't there?
yeah, but actually, what you need a tool that will allow you to do it very quickly. So one day you say, okay, let's try this, and then another day, okay, let's try this. So I can every day try something else. So and do it in a graphical user interface that change the flow. So and this is very aligned with what you are doing with this generative AI and the future of marketing. Well, you will need a tool to connect all the new technologies with all the stuff that you do in your company, and in between is CDP or with automation. Okay, so you need you need customer data, you need generative AI, language models, and in between something that will join this and do it the best real time.
Indeed. I mean, can't agree more on that. And then just saying that the trajectory of the big data at the moment, it's just growing bigger and bigger, and not just the volume but the dimensions and everything else, which again, I think it's good that you're exposing Tracardi to sort of, hey, here are we're not only thinking about the functionality of the CDP itself, but the data storage, the management of it as well, which I think it's a very good solid foundation to be expanded in the future.
Something that I believe in strongly about the customer journey is that when the customer journey starts, it actually isn't a customer that you're talking to. You're talking to somebody in your audience. You have no idea who they are. They're just numbers GUIs on different devices. And over time, you learn who that person is or that entity is. The conversation starts much earlier than an email address. And to get that conversation started early, you need to consume that data. You need a platform that allows you to consume that data freely without constraints about how many records and profiles you can have in the system.
Mm-hmm.
And that type of thing. But you need to be able to be flexible with that early data, because you're building up awareness. Awareness to what's the next step, awareness, and then consideration.
Yeah.
And I suppose once somebody's considering, you might be starting to capture some email addresses and the like, but between awareness and consideration, there's a big gap there. And I think there's so much opportunity in that space to help that customer. What are their interests? Where are they? What do they need? And be able to play that back to them in real time.
Let me give you an example from my field, and because recently I was, going through the data that Tracardi collected, and I see, okay, somebody installed Tracardi, okay, and tried to play with it, and I go into the history, and the journey started almost 2 months ago, okay, and this is all you lose. Actually, you don't. If you sell something, okay, on your e-commerce. You sold it, okay, somebody delivered you an email, etc. But the whole history, what they were actually interested in, how many times they visited your page before they decided to do something, you lose that. And I just suddenly saw that.
Yeah, and that's like 90% of your data. Like, how do you convert that? And looking at patterns, looking at cohorts, looking at different audiences, and with their AI, we don't need to delve into it ourselves. We can feed that into the machine and come up with them.
Yeah. And recently I have a couple of conversations with people actually, preparing the video for you about the future of MarTech. And what comes just as a bigger picture is that actually GenAI and language models solve two biggest problems. Actually, one is that we had a lot of unstructured data that would be just text, people browsing some web pages. We don't know what actually they're doing. So we have a lot of unstructured data. And with the language models, GenAI, you can structure it. Just tell me, okay, this is what the person saw. Just give me all the things that they were interested in, okay? What actually is written on that page, what are the top things that they saw, okay, read, okay? And this is structured data. That structured data can be put into CDP, etc., etc. And then the structured data, again, can be changed to unstructured data into a message, okay? So now you have this structured data. This person was interested in this, and this. This is my offering, okay? Please write a personalized message for that person using this information. He'd be interested in, I don't know, CDP for 30 days, and he saw my pricing, and actually they didn't like the pricing, for example, okay? So just go see my offering and offer them something else. What it will do in the future, it will do that actually there will be no segmentation at all. There will be just a personalized delivery, the segmentation of one person. Everybody will get a different message. Probably we will use segmentation for activating old customers just to, maybe deliver something. But this will just go down for me. Maybe in 10 years' time, everybody will get a personalized message. Nothing like the segment, the message for like 1,000 people the same.
And it's not just about segment, it's about timing.
Yes.
When messages get sent, how they get sent. So a segment's just not an interest group. There's a whole lot of factors, a whole lot of dynamics to it. And yeah, I 100% agree with you, Risto. It's
you remember,
a personalized journey for everyone.
We've talked about interest on one of the office hours, and the biggest takeaway from this that the interest rely very much on time. So when there's an interest and interest goes, the person moves into the different segment So maybe you should not message that person. Okay. So this is very, very dynamic. And yeah, we are working on, actually, my dream is that Tracardi will become a tool that will be able to do what I've just said. Okay. Just make the whole journey very personalized, so everybody will get the message they are waiting for. Or yeah. So this is it.
We're living the dream.
Yep.
The future.
I
Yes.
think we're already there. What did what's the quote? I can't remember that quote. It's something about the future's already here. We just don't know it yet, or something. Anyway. So what more would you like to see? Would you like a demo next time we do office hours, Shahan, or would you like to delve into Tracardi a little bit more? Or if there's a YouTube channel with heaps of resources, or how
Yeah, I
can we
think.
help you on your journey?
Thank you very much. I think I'll start by just digesting the information. I think I'm pretty visual person, so I
Yep.
think just watching the YouTube videos. I'll start with that. Thank you.
Please
Perfect.
please feel welcome to sign up for the blog. I'll make sure to share that right now with you. So I'll put the address there. And also, would you like to be featured as a contributor for this office hour, so we can put your name on there, because you have joined us and you've provided some real excellent feedback? Would you like that?
Oh gosh, I don't think I'm knowledgeable or
No,
good
no, no,
enough to be.
no. But we can definitely put your name there as a contributor if you like. But no, that's fine. I've just popped the blog on the chat there, so that
Yes.
you've got that. So please sign up, and that's a good way of keeping in touch with what we're doing next week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you again. Appreciate
No
it, Christo. Man.
All right. So when are we catching up next? Am I going to catch up with you anytime soon in any other events or forums? Are you marketing cloud wise?
Oh gosh. Yeah. I haven't been keeping in touch with the next the Salesforce event. But yeah.
I know from a marketing cloud perspective, there's a Gen I event late August. I know Risto's talking at that. I'll be talking at that as well. So if you can make it along to that, just check out the usual channels for that. That should be
Oh my
interesting.
God.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'll see you there.
Yeah, not a problem. All right, cool.
Perfect. Thanks, Christo. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Have a nice
No
one.
problem.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thanks again, Risto, for another office hours. And I guess we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time to do it all again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if people are looking for the blog, where can they find it? They can find it at blog.tracardi.com. And that's the best way for now. That's where we're going to find it. So
Yes.
awesome.
I will also link it under the Tracardi webpage, so you can also
Yep.
find it there. Yeah.
And you can also find it inside Tracardi in the UI if you go
Yes.
to the bell.
Yes.
I've seen.
Yes. So
we
in
see
the upper right
it.
corner, you will always have the
Yeah.
newest information from the blog.
Awesome. All right. Then I think next time you'll be delving more into the next step with how do you pronounce it?
You mean
You're delving into the next step of
Kubernetes? Is it?
Kubernetes, yeah.
Yes.
And I'll definitely have the easy panel, one-click install using the JSON. I've actually also started working through the process of officially endeavoring to get a template set up for Tracardi. So it's just out of the box. There'll be one there ready to one-click install when you have easy panel as well. That may take a bit longer because there's forks and pull requests and all that sort of stuff to jump through, but definitely have the JSON ready for that next week. And we'll do a walkthrough and show you how to do it on a server. It'll be really just drop dead simple. And it's just a bit too easy. So should help somebody out there at least anyway. The blog, please feel welcome to sign up as a member to keep up to date with what we're sharing. And please, by all means, put a comment on any of the posts. You know, comments are really important for us because it helps us know that the content is interesting. So more comments mean more motivation for us to keep doing what we're doing. So until next time.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, Matt.